Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Crazy. The female emperor's disciple wants to live with me. Chapter 71. Hear this roar. Chang Zan and others all got up, looking out of Kangyuan City through the window. At this moment, I saw it outside Kangyuan City. There are countless dazzling beams of light rising into the sky. Each beam of light is very thick and strong. Very dazzling. Is this Kangyuan secret realm going to open? Chang Zan couldn't help but be surprised when she saw this scene. That's right, this is a sign before the Kangyuan secret realm opens. Shi Rishan also nodded. The hearts of several apprentices were filled with anticipation. Because secret realm means that it is often full of opportunities. Disciples, is the Kangyuan secret realm going to open? Lu Changge was having a spring dream, but the roar just now was so loud that it woke Lu Changge. But Lu Changge wanted to continue to sleep in the cage. Go back to master, the Kangyuan secret realm is indeed going to be opened. Several apprentices nodded and replied. Since it's going to be opened, then you guys should go to the secret realm. I hope you can get experience in the secret realm. Remember that as a teacher, nothing can be forced. If you can get the opportunity, fight for it. If you can't get it, don't force it. Let you go to the training is only to enhance your actual combat ability and knowledge. The teacher doesn't want anything to happen to you. Also, each of you should hold a communication talisman. If you encounter big difficulties or troubles, then follow the teacher contact. When I wake up as a teacher, I will wait for you outside the Kangyuan secret realm. Lu Changge urged. At the moment Lu Changge is like a father. But I can't blame Lu Changge, because my apprentices are too important to Lu Changge. If he doesn't warn him well, if something happens to his disciples, he will lose more than he gains. Thank you, master, then let's go. Chang Zan and others respectfully took the communication talisman and left the inn. And Lu Changge continued to fall asleep. Something like a secret realm doesn't have much temptation for Lu Changge. His system is extremely restrictive. As long as the apprentice becomes stronger, he can become stronger. It is impossible to cultivate cultivation in this life, and can only rely on the disciples to walk the world. When Chang Zan waited to go to Kangyuan's secret realm. Now, outside the Kangyuan secret realm, countless young cultivators have gathered here. One by one, they looked at the bright beams of light that filled the sky in front of them, and there was a gleam in their eyes. Every disciple knows very well that as long as the rainbow light dissipates, it will be the time when the Kangyuan secret realm will open. While everyone is waiting, suddenly, everyone's attention was attracted. At this moment, I saw a beautiful girl in a long purple dress appearing here. This girl is tall and tall. The body is bulging forward and backward. The skin is creamy and snowy. In his hand is a 20 centimeters long flute. Step by step for a lifetime of lotus. One step at a time. It looks so holy and beautiful. Isn't she Fairy Bishao, the arrogant disciple of Zishao Sacred Land? My dream lover. Fairy Bishao's blowjob skills are said to be among the best in our eastern wasteland region. Except for her master, no one can compare to her. Wow, I like this one, I like girls who can blowjob. Just you, stop dreaming, Zishao Sacred Land is one of the 9 sacred lands in our eastern wasteland domain. I am afraid that few people can be worthy of such a peerless beauty. It makes sense, let's see it. Oh, it's really strange. Why did Fairy Bishao come to the Kangyuan secret realm? It stands to reason that the Kangyuan secret realm sacred land disciples don't like it. I heard that this Zishao sacred land will be selected for Holy Maiden soon, so this Fairy Bishao came out to find an opportunity, but I heard that this Fairy Bishao is a strong candidate for Holy Maiden. Many disciples could not help but talk about the Tao. After Fairy Bishao arrived, she stood quietly and proudly in the void. There is a feeling of being close to strangers. Standing proudly in the void, it feels like an iceberg and snow lotus. Because it's cold, so no one dared to approach such an iceberg beauty. There is another, that is, the status of Zishao Sacred Land is too high. The one who is full will provoke such an existence. 9 sacred lands. It was an existence standing proudly at the pinnacle of Eastern Wasteland. Not long after Fairy Bishao arrived, 5 figures descended over the Kangyuan secret realm. When these 5 figures landed here, it also attracted the attention of a large number of disciples. Because the 3 girls among the 5 were quite beautiful. The beauty is not inferior to Fairy Bishao. Who are they? I never seem to have seen them. Yeah, I haven't seen it before. The 5 of them all have an edge, which feels very extraordinary. It stands to reason that we have heard about the sect disciples around here. The disciples present did not know Chang Zan and the others who had just arrived. When these disciples were surprised, Fairy Bishao's calm face also showed a look of surprise when her eyes swept over Chang Zan and the others. Although Chang Zan and others deliberately concealed their breath, but Fairy Bishao could still feel the extraordinariness of Chang Zan and others. I don't know where these 5 disciples are from that sect. When did that sect have such extraordinary disciples? Fairy Bishao couldn't help thinking. Boom! Just when Fairy Bishao thought like this, suddenly, a harsh roar came out, then followed by the rainbow light in front of the secret realm, and then vanished. At this moment, a huge portal appeared. Ah, the Kengyuan secret realm is open. Go ahead, the treasure inside is mine. Go, go. After all the disciples saw the appearance of the secret realm portal, they rushed towards the portal frantically, yelling and yelling at the same time. Hey, don't squeeze my shoes. Hey, that bastard touched my Nico, my mother will kill you. Why is that touching my butt? I'm a man. These disciples shouted and rushed forward frantically. Junior brother and sister, let's go in too, Chang Zan said involuntarily, seeing that many disciples had entered the secret realm of Kengyuan. Shi Rishan and the others all nodded. Then go inside the door. Soon, the figure disappeared into the portal. At the same time, now, another figure came staggeringly here. This figure looks dusty and a bit embarrassed. This person is the scholar Ma Shokai. Senior, we have finally reached the secret realm, what should I do next? Ma Shokai asked the phantom figure. The next step, of course, is to enter the secret realm. As long as you enter the secret realm and find something like that, this seat will immediately return to the peak cultivation base, thus helping you become the #1 powerhouse in the world, said the illusory figure. The senior, let's go in now. Ma Shokai glanced at the entrance of the secret realm in front, and finally couldn't help clenching his fists. Now Ma Shokai has unconditionally believed in the illusory figure. Because Ma Shokai felt that as long as he had a good relationship with senior, then his future is infinite. If you think about it, it will be beautiful. That's right, go in slowly now, this secret realm is very familiar to you. As long as you follow the route I said, you will soon be able to enter the great hall I mentioned, said the illusory figure. Okay senior, Ma Shokai nodded, then slowly walked towards the entrance of the secret realm. Now, inside the secret realm entrance, when Chang Zan and others stepped into the array map at the entrance of the secret realm, Chang Zan and others felt dizzy. After waiting for the reaction, Chang Zan found out that she had come to a place. But what made Chang Zan speechless was that after entering the secret realm, they were separated. Only myself now. Chang Zan glanced at it. At this moment, I saw a palace in front of me. But in front of this palace, there are more than a dozen stone tables and benches shaved from stones. On these stone tables, there is a chessboard. Opposite each chessboard sits a stone man. When Chang Zan came here, she found that on the other side of the chessboard, there were already several disciples sitting opposite the chessboard. Then the confrontation with the stone man began. After a while, suddenly, the stone man seemed to be alive. Shen Sheng said, I'm sorry, you failed, so you have to die. With the words of the stone man fell. The stone man on the opposite side of the chessboard has a bright light shining all over his body. Then it rolled towards the cultivator who just played chess. Do not, puff. The cultivator who failed just now did not react at all. The next moment, it was directly killed by the stone man on the opposite side of the chessboard, turned into a cloud of blood. After seeing this scene, the cultivators present were stunned. It's too dangerous here. This king sucks. Many cultivators retreated. They went backwards a lot. If this is a fatal inheritance, then this inheritance is not worth it. Chang Zan looked towards the palace ahead. At this moment, I saw the words written at the entrance of the palace. Here is my inheritance. In order to get this inheritance, I must break the chess game I put in front of the palace. Young man, think about it, because the inheritance here is unusual, so I set up a killing game here. If you can't win my game, then you have to die. This master is a bit ruthless. Chang Zan couldn't help thinking after reading the line of writing written in front of the Great Hall. I don't believe it anymore. Back then, I was considered a master of chess, and I fought. At this moment, a young disciple showed a look of determination. Then came to the opposite side of the stone man. Began to confront the stone man. Wealth is in danger. What if you win this stone man? Wouldn't it be possible to obtain a peerless inheritance by then? But soon, this young disciple was defeated. Then the stone man on the opposite side showed a powerful and unparalleled killing intent. No, don't kill me, I don't want to die. The young man shouted in horror. Young man, willing to admit defeat, I have written down the precautions here clearly. Death to me, puff. With the sound of a deep and vicissitudes of life, the young disciple had no time to block anything. It is directly enveloped by the monstrous brilliance. Then it turned into a cloud of blood. This. After seeing this scene, the cultivators present were completely messed up. This legacy is too scary. If it doesn't work out, there will be no life. I don't want this inheritance anymore, I'm gone. I don't want it either. I promised my wife to pay the public food tonight. If I hang up here, my wife will not be sad. I also promised my wife to go home for dinner. The cultivators present began to prepare to leave one by one. But at this moment, Chang Zan had a gleam in his eyes. Although Chang Zan didn't know the game of chess, but Chang Zan knew that she had a peerless master. Didn't master give me a communication talisman when I came? Now it's time to come in handy. Chang Zan couldn't help thinking. Then Chang Zan walked towards the place where the chess game was. Seeing that Chang Zan was not afraid of death, he walked towards the chess game. The cultivators present showed an incredible look. Hey, girl, this is a chess game arranged by the master of this secret realm, it will be fatal. Yeah, girl, you look so beautiful, I advise you to think twice. The cultivators present could not help but persuade them with their voices. Because the cultivators present felt that Chang Zan was so beautiful and should not have died here. It would be a pity otherwise. Chang Zan simply ignored the persuasion of these cultivators. Then he came to the chess position and sat opposite the stone man. The cultivators present saw that Chang Zan was not afraid of death and sat opposite the chess board. All of them shook their heads sadly. Because everyone thought that Chang Zan would definitely die this time. There is absolutely no solution to this game. Chang Zan didn't pay attention to the strange eyes of everyone. After sitting down, he took out the messenger. After entering the own spiritual sense, it is to communicate with the own master. As for Lu Chang'e at the moment, I just woke up at the inn to take a shower. Sudden, a messenger talisman that Lu Chang'e had placed beside him lit up. Huh, Chang Zan and the others got into trouble so soon. Lu Chang'e couldn't help frowning. Then pick up the messenger. It is also to release the divine sense into the messenger. The function of this messenger is similar to the video phone in the world before Lu Chang'e. Very naughty. Time. A picture appeared in front of Lu Chang'e. At this moment, I saw Chang Zan sitting opposite a stone man. Between Chang Zan and Shiren, there is a chessboard. Teacher, you're so laid back. I thought you were in danger. Why did you go on vacation? Looking at the scene in front of him, Lu Chang'e couldn't help joking. Lu Chang'e really didn't expect this secret realm to be so fun. The environment inside looks good. And there are chess games. Knowing this earlier, he also went into play. Master, where is my disciple on vacation? My disciple was in big trouble, so I contacted you, Master, for help. Chang Zan said with a sad face. In big trouble, let's hear it, Lu Chang'e asked. It is right now that the master must help the disciple to use the chess game to win the stone man, or the disciple will die in a while. Chang Zan explained. It turns out that, disciple, you can take a picture of the communication talisman to the chessboard and let the teacher see it. Lu Chang'e said. If before, Lu Chang'e knew nothing about chess games. But now Lu Chang'e is rewarded by the system. The attainment in chess is full. So Lu Chang'e is still very confident at the moment. Master, look, Chang Zan took the communication talisman and lit it on the chess game. Time. An unfinished chess set appeared in front of Lu Chang'e. Lu Chang'e just glanced at the game and saw it. 9 dead chess game. Lu Chang'e couldn't help showing an interesting look. Master, you can see what this chess game is at a glance. Chang Zan was extremely shocked when she heard the words of her master. His master is worthy of being a peerless master. I feel like I know everything. Chang Zan felt that so far, it seemed that she couldn't find something that her master couldn't. Of course, your master is very powerful. Liu Chengge nodded. Then next, Liu Chengge started to instruct Chang Zan to get up. Not much time. This 9-death chess game was easily broken by Chang Zan. Young man, congratulations, you have broken the 9-death chess game that this old man is most proud of in his life. Come in and accept the inheritance. After the 9-death chess game was cracked, a voice came. Fall with the words. A powerful suction swept in. Soon, it was to involve Chang Zan in the Great Hall. This 9-death chess game is broken. How is this possible? Am I dreaming? How old is this little girl in front of me? I don't know which sect's disciple. I've never heard of it before. The cultivators present simply wondered if they were wrong. How could such a young girl crack the legendary 9-death chess game? This sounds incredible. Of course, what many people are more curious about is where does Master Chang Zan go? What kind of master is it that can train such an extraordinary apprentice? When Chang Zan accepted the inheritance here, at this moment, he was in a valley. There was a young disciple with a sword in his hand. Came here. This young man is Shi Rishan. But when Shi Rishan arrived here, he saw that he was behind the valley at the moment. There is a spiritual qi-dense spring. This is the Lingquan Pond. Looking at the spring water in the valley behind where the spiritual qi was drenched, Shi Rishan's eyes showed a gleam of light. As the son of heaven's chosen, Shi Rishan naturally knows what Lingquan Pond means. Lingquan Pond is one of the most precious and supreme spiritual springs in the world. As long as you cultivate in it for a while, the spiritual spring in it can not only wash the impurities in the cultivator's body to achieve the effect of tempering the physique, but also cultivate twice the result with half the effort. 1 day of cultivation in Lingquan Pond is equivalent to 100 days of cultivation outside. However, just when Shi Rishan saw this Lingquan Pond, at this moment, there were also hundreds of disciples pouring in here. Senior brother. Seeing Shi Rishan standing here, a tall young man shouted among the arriving group of disciples. Junior brother Chengqing, are we senior sister or senior sister? Seeing Li Chengqing's arrival, Shi Rishan couldn't help showing a hint of surprise. The 3 sisters and sisters don't know where they went. We were scattered when we came in. Li Chengqing shook his head and said. That's okay, our senior and junior sisters are also people with great luck, so they should be fine, and it is estimated that everything is under the control of the master. Shi Rishan nodded. Then Shi Rishan took 2 steps forward and said to the disciples present, you all leave quickly, I have occupied this Lingquan Pond. Yes, this Lingquan Pond belongs to my brother and me. Li Chengqing also said fiercely. Wow, when Shi Rishan said these words, there was an uproar at the scene. These 2 are so ignorant. A guy who is over his head, you said that this Lingquan Pond is yours or yours. Don't you look at how much you weigh? Yeah, what is the dream in the daytime? This Lingquan Pond is powerful. Many of the young disciples present said with a cold expression. Then they surrounded Shi Rishan and Li Chengqing one by one. Junior brother Chengqing, step back and leave it to me. Shi Rishan said to Li Chengqing. But there are a lot of people here, senior brother, can you do it alone? Li Chengqing said involuntarily after glancing at the hundreds of disciples. Don't worry, I'm enough alone. Shi Rishan said domineeringly. With Shi Rishan's words falling. Chang, the sword in Shi Rishan's hand was unsheathed. A dazzling knife light lit up. Kill. When the other disciples saw this, they all rushed towards Shi Rishan frantically. As long as he can kill Shi Rishan, then the Lingquan pool here is theirs. As for the tall young man behind Shi Rishan, everyone didn't take it to heart at all. As everyone knows, Li Chengqing is also a man they can't afford to offend. As soon as the formation comes out, who can be the enemy? Moment. This dazzling sword-like light collided violently with the attacks of the disciples who came first. A harsh roar sounded, but soon, the attacks of these disciples were directly destroyed by the light of the sword. Then, this terrifying knife light continued to come towards these disciples. The expressions of these disciples changed drastically. Because these disciples clearly saw Shi Rishan cut a knife, but why is the knife glow like a tianhe? One is more terrifying than the other. However, these disciples couldn't be allowed to think too much, and they groaned. Then the body was pierced by knife light. blood splattered, died on the spot. After seeing that Shirishin was so terrifying, the disciples present couldn't help showing a dignified expression. Which sect's disciple is this guy? How come I've never seen it before? It's scary. Many of the disciples present were trembling and retreating back, while they couldn't help showing a touch of heart palpitations. The knife just now had a profound impact on the disciples present. I count 3, and then get out of my sight, or die. Shirishin said coldly. As for the murder just now, Shirishin showed no guilt. Because Shirishin knew that if he didn't do that, he would be the one who fell to the ground at the moment. This world, there is no mercy, or you will die miserably. A senior surnamed Lu once said, you can live better only if you are ruthless. Kindness to the enemy is cruelty to yourself. Therefore, at this moment, Shirishin will not have the slightest courtesy. 3. Let's go, this guy came out of nowhere, it's terrifying. Many disciples couldn't help but say depressed. Then they left one by one. Senior brother is not bad, this slash is too domineering. Li Changqing was frightened by his brother when he saw hundreds of disciples, and could not help but applaud. Junior and brother have won the prize, let's go to Lingquan Pond to cultivate. Shiri Heavenly Dao. Senior brother, wait a second, I'll set up a formation here, otherwise it would be bad if we were peeped at Lingquan Pool later. Li Changqing scratched his head and said. Shirishin was speechless. Which one will peep at 2 men when they are full and have nothing to do? However, Shirishin thinks it also makes sense. Junior brother Changqing is uniquely endowed by nature in formation, so he can set up a formation so as not to be disturbed. At that time, I will be doing handicrafts in Lingquan Pond, and it is estimated that others will not see it. For Li Changqing, setting up formations is the most skilled craftsmanship. Not much time. A formation arrangement is completed. Then Li Changqing and Shirishin came to Lingquan Pool. This Lingquan Pond is not big, but the spiritual qi emerging from it is very dense. Junior brother Changqing, hurry up, Shirishin said to Li Changqing. Then Shirishin said nothing. It is to jump into the Lingquan Pool. Comfortable, Shirishin shouted. However, when Shirishin turned around, he still saw Li Changqing dawdling. Junior brother Changqing, what happened? Seeing Li Changqing's dawdling appearance, Shirishin couldn't help but say speechlessly. I'm ashamed, Li Changqing said a little embarrassedly. Li Changqing comes from the countryside, which is relatively conservative. Afraid of the wool, hurry down, it's just you and me here, my sexual orientation is normal, and I don't treat you like that. Shirishin scolded. Okay, then I'm down. Li Changqing nodded. Then slowly undress. Come towards Lingquan Pool. However, Shirishin glanced at it and said in surprise, my mother, junior brother Changqing, you are a savage, why are you so hairy? Are you Azure Dragon? Senior brother Rishin, don't laugh at me. I am naturally hairy. When I was a child, I was often laughed at by my friends, saying that I wore wool pants in summer. Li Changqing said a little embarrassedly. I won't laugh at you anymore. Haven't you heard that a good woman is fat and a good man is hairy? Shirishin couldn't help joking. At the same time, now in another place where the inheritance is. The inheritance here is specifically about Qinshao and the like. Now, there are countless disciples here who want to enter this place of inheritance. But there is a limitation here. If you want to get the inheritance here, there is an innate condition, that is, you must perform a piece of your own talent. Then it can only be approved by the owner of the inheritance. Otherwise, you won't be let in at all. Some disciples were full of confidence to perform their own talents. But when they saw that Fairy Bishao was here, everyone automatically retreated. Zishao's disciples of Sacred Land are best at Taoism such as Qin and Shao. If Fairy Bishao makes a move, then they will definitely not have any hope. After Fairy Bishao arrived here, she picked up the 20-centimeter long ancient flute in her hand and began to play. The flute is melodious. The disciples present were all fascinated. It's so good. It doesn't matter if Fairy Bishao looks good looking, the key blowpipe technology is so good. Fairy Bishao, I'm in love with you. Fairy Bishao, I love you like a mouse loves rice. This performance of Fairy Bishao made the blood of the disciples surging, and they were completely convinced by Fairy Bishao's flute. But the next scene. But it surprised the disciples present. Because Fairy Bishao's Xiao sound was so beautiful and pleasant, it didn't impress the owner of the inheritance. No, the inheritance here is probably fake, right? Fairy Bishao's flute sound can't be recognized. I think there is a problem with the inheritance here. Seeing that Fairy Bishao was not recognized, many disciples couldn't help but talk about it. And Fairy Bishao herself is a bit incredible. If it's anything else, maybe she's not the best now. But when it comes to blowpipes, Fairy Bishao still has a little bit of self-confidence. She started blowing flute with her master at the age of 10, and now she counts her age, but she has already had 8 years of blowing flute. Is there really a problem with the inheritance here? Just when Fairy Bishao thought like this. At this moment, a figure that is not inferior to Fairy Bishao suddenly appeared here. This figure is naturally Lu Chengyi's fourth apprentice Xiao Sixuan. After Xiao Sixuan came here, is to take out the Guqin. I saw Xiao Sixuan took out the Guqin. Some disciples couldn't help but laughed and said, "Girl, don't try, the inheritance here is not even recognized by Fairy Bishao, let alone you." Yeah, let me ask the younger generation of disciples in this world, who can compare with the disciples of Zishao Sacred Land. I can't say anything else. I don't think there is a second one in terms of Qinshao. From the words of these disciples, it can be heard that Xiao Sixuan wants to play the piano here at this moment, she is just beyond her own strength. However, Xiao Sixuan ignored the crowd. Rather, the slender jade fingers swim above the strings. He started to play the guqin in his hand. The sound of the qin is sometimes like a mountain stream in a clear spring, and sometimes it is like the sound of an ancient fairy. A disciple who was full of contempt for Xiao Sixuan. When the sound of the piano came out, these disciples kept their mouths shut. Then he began to immerse himself in the sound of the piano. For a while, these disciples forgot everything. Only the sound of the piano washed their souls. One song finished. Then a voice came from the place of inheritance. I can't believe that there is such a wonderful sound of the piano in the world. Congratulations, girl, you have been recognized by me, come in and get the inheritance. Falling with the words, a gentle force came. Then rapped Xiao Sixuan. Then Xiao Sixuan directly entered the inheritance of the Great Hall. After a while, the disciples present all reacted. Even Fairy Bishao felt like she was dreaming at this moment. Which sect's disciple is this girl, and her accomplishments in Qingdao are so extraordinary? I don't know, I've never seen this girl before. Many disciples shook their heads. And Fairy Bishao's thoughts are flying at this moment. Feeling a little frustrated inside. Who is she? She is very accomplished in blowjob. But at this moment, she was compared by a girl who didn't know where she came from. This made Fairy Bishao very uncomfortable. This incident also made Fairy Bishao realize that this world is vast and boundless. It is true that there are people outside the mountains and there are people outside the mountains, no matter what time, you can't be proud. When Xiao Sixuan and others accepted the inheritance. At this moment, Long Lingshan came to a place where alchemy was inherited. The gates of this heritage land are tightly closed. But Long Lingshan didn't pay any attention. Go straight to the gate of this heritage place. Girl, the old man has set a password here. As long as you say the correct password, the old man can pass on the inheritance of own alchemy to you. When Long Lingshan came to the door of the inheritance, a figure came out from the place of inheritance. The world is not worth it. Long Lingshan blurted out. Girl, what are you talking about? I said I was born to be human, and I'm sorry. Girl, please speak human words. The world is not worth it. I was born to be human, and I'm sorry. Girl, please speak. Hey, say that again. Long Lingshan couldn't help but blurt out when she heard the inheritance master repeat their conversation directly. Come in and get the inheritance. The owner of the inheritance doubted the way of life. The owner of the inheritance felt that if he continued to talk to this girl, he might go crazy on the spot. When Long Lingshan and others were accepting the inheritance of the master of the secret realm, Ma Shokai was guided by the illusory figure. Finally came to a great hall. Senior, we have reached the great hall you mentioned. Ma Shokai said to the illusory figure. That's right, it's here, have you seen it? There's a sculpture there, walk over there. The illusory figure said to Ma Shokai. I saw Senior. Ma Shokai nodded, then came to the sculpture. Ma Shokai looked at the sculpture, and at this moment, he saw that the sculpture looked very imposing. Lifelike. Ma Shokai could have imagined that the owner of this sculpture might have been very arrogant during his lifetime. What I want is in the shy part of this sculpture, the illusory figure said to Ma Shokai. Senior, what did you say? Ma Shokai suspected that he had heard it wrong. This senior actually let him. What is this guy doing? He is a dignified man. How could it be possible to do such a cruel thing? Ma Shokai, I know this makes you very embarrassed, but you really need to do this to get that thing. Don't you want to see this seat recover quickly and help you become stronger? Said the illusory figure. Ah, okay. Ma Shokai was helpless. Only the outer layer of the sculpture can be uncovered. Then I found the place where the phantom figure said. Then, Ma Shokai swallowed the place where the illusory figure said. Ah, this, spicy eyes. When I saw a scholar-like guy facing a sculpture. There are cultivators who are looking for opportunities here. Everyone was shocked at the moment. Some female disciples even blushed. Some female disciples even thought to themselves, isn't this kind of thing a woman can do to a man she likes? This, although Ma Shokai was very embarrassed at the moment. But in order to become stronger, Ma Shokai fought hard. Not much time. One after another pure energy group entered Ma Shokai's body. Then Ma Shokai felt that there was a huge force washing out from within his own body. But at this moment, Ma Shokai's expression changed. Because this power is not under his control at all. Ma Shokai was about to feel out of control. Even his consciousness was a little blurry. Senior, what's wrong with me? Ma Shokai asked the illusory figure with an extremely ugly expression. Gia, Ma Shokai, you stupid dick, do you think I really can help you become stronger? I tell you, this seat lied to you, then, your body will be merged with this seat. 1. The illusory figure said to Ma Shokai. After the phantom figure finished speaking, it began to seize the house. Ah, senior don't. Ma Shokai shouted in horror. Ma Shokai really didn't expect that all this was a lie. Ma Shokai really regrets it. Ma Shokai felt that he was really stupid, really. How could he trust others so easily? But all this is useless. Ma Shokai was just an ordinary scholar. Where can I resist the phantom figure? In the process of the illusory figure taking the house, Ma Shokai's body also began to change drastically. The whole body is getting bigger and bigger. Boom. With a roar came out. All the clothes on Ma Shokai's body were torn apart. Then in an instant the entire body was replaced by green hair. What? With the sound of Ma Shokai's last scream, Ma Shokai was finally completely taken away by the illusory figure. Ah, monster. The picture of Ma Shokai refining the energy group just now felt very hot to the eyes. But at this moment, after seeing this scene, the cultivators who were there looking for the chance turned extremely embarrassed. Because the Ma Shokai in front of him is no longer a scholar. Instead, it was a tall, terrifying monster with exposed blue veins, lingering black energy, and green hair all over his body. Run, some cultivators responded. Then run outside the Great Hall. Gia, you can't run away. Such delicious blood food, I want you all to become the blood food of this seat, Gia. The green-haired monster sneered when he saw that the cultivator was about to escape. Then the arm waved lightly. Time. The door to the entire Great Hall was closed. Ah, no, what are you doing? Seeing that the green-haired monster actually closed the door of Great Hall. The disciple in the Great Hall at the moment began to look embarrassed. One by one was extremely frightened. My fresh blood eaters, you can despair. The more desperate you are, the more delicious it will be when I devour it later. The green-haired monster smiled strangely. As the green-hat monster's words fell, the green-haired monster spread out a black aura. Moment. This black aura swept the entire Great Hall. Do not. When the black aura swept across the Great Hall, the entire Great Hall let out a scream of horror. But soon, the screaming came to an abrupt end. When the screams passed, the entire Great Hall is in shambles. Those disciples who were still alive just now have now become a pile of bones. The flesh on his body has long since disappeared. Gia, this blood food is really good. When this seat devours all the disciples here, then this seat's cultivation base can return to its peak period. I'm here in this world. The green-haired monster shouted. Then the green-haired monster began to come to another Great Hall. Start with the same method. Devoured all the disciples in this Great Hall. After Shi Rishan and Li Chengqing completed their cultivation in Lingquan Pond, they walked outside. But soon, Li Chengqing and Shi Rishan saw a figure. Elder sister. Shi Rishan and Li Chengqing shouted happily. Junior brother Chengqing, junior brother Rishan. Chang Zan couldn't help laughing after seeing Shi Rishan and Li Chengqing. A city full of smiles. Two smiles are alluring. Elder sister, how is the harvest? Li Chengqing couldn't help but ask with a smile. The harvest is good. I also got several books inherited by the senior. Every book is the essence. I'll show you when I go back. Chang Zan said mysteriously. Senior sister, what book? Let me reveal it first. Shi Rishan couldn't help but wonder. I haven't read the content yet. The titles of the books seem to be, Tonight I'm Your Man, Senior Brother Opens My Door in the Midnight, If You Love Me, Please Don't Go Tonight, etc. Chang Zan said. The simple appearance of the face. The title of this book sounds so exciting. Shi Rishan couldn't help but reveal a gleam in his eyes. Go back and see, let's find Sizan and junior sister Lingshan first. Chang Zan said. Shi Rishan and Li Chengqing nodded. Then walk forward. But soon, Chang Zan, Shi Rishan and Li Chengqing felt something was wrong. Chang Zan, Li Chengqing, and Shi Rishan walked all the way, and it seemed that they met very few disciples. Senior sister, senior brother, something is wrong. We have not met a few disciples along the way. Li Chengqing couldn't help but wonder. Well, it's a little bit. It stands to reason that there are not so few disciples here. Shi Rishan also nodded. It's really not right. We pay attention to safety, but there is also a possibility that there may be some extraordinary inheritance ahead, and those disciples are going to snatch those inheritances. Chang Zan explained. Senior sister is right, this is also possible, but we have already obtained the inheritance, and the next inheritance has little to do with us. Let's find junior sister Sizan and junior sister Lingshan quickly. Shi Ri Heavenly Dao. Both Li Chengqing and Chang Zan nodded, thinking that what Shi Rishan said was very reasonable. Then the three continued to walk forward. Soon, the three of them came to a great hall. But what makes Chang Zan, Shi Rishan, and Li Chengqing wonder at this moment is that the great hall is extremely quiet at the moment. And let Shi Rishan and others feel that there is a gloomy atmosphere in this great hall. Let's go and have a look. Shi Rishan said. Then go ahead. But when Shi Rishan, Li Chengqing and Chang Zan entered the great hall, Chang Zan, Shi Rishan and Li Chengqing were all stunned by the scene in front of them. At this moment, I saw hundreds of bones piled up in this great hall. There is no flesh and blood on top of each bone. It looked as if he had suffered extreme pain before his death. Shi Rishan came to Bai Ji Yu to check. Then he said to Li Chengqing and Chang Zan, Senior sister, junior brother, it hasn't been a long time since the bones died, about an hour ago. Hiss, what happened here? Hearing Shi Rishan say this, Li Chengqing couldn't help but take a deep breath. It's not too late, we have to find junior sister Lingshan and junior sister Sizan as soon as possible. Master told us that the five of us are one, and none of us can't be missing. Chang Zan couldn't help saying. At this moment, Chang Zan's heart is also very restless. These hundreds of disciples came in with them. It's all turned into bones now. If you think about it with your head, you can think that these disciples must have encountered something very terrifying. After Chang Zan finished speaking, it was with Li Chengqing and Shi Rishan, who quickly walked forward. At the same time, in a place thousands of meters away from Chang Zan and others. Now, the green-haired monster gathered a group of disciples here. Jia Jia Jia, you can't escape, you can despair as much as you can. The green-haired monster stared at the hundreds of desperate disciples in front of him, and said gloomily. HMPH, green-haired monster, you should be damned. Just after the green-haired monster's words fell, a crisp cold drink came. Hear this voice. The desperate disciples just looked forward. At this moment, I saw a girl in a purple skirt standing not far from them. The girl in the purple skirt held a 20-centimeter-long ancient flute in her hand. It's Fairy Bishao who is here, we are saved. After seeing the girl in the purple skirt, the disciple who was in extreme despair couldn't help but say happily. Jia Jia Jia, such pure blood food, let's start with you first. The green-haired monster stared at Fairy Bishao in front of him. Everyone, run away, I'll stop this green-haired monster. Fairy Bishao said. With Fairy Bishao's words falling, Fairy Bishao pressed the shell beside her mouth and began to play. Time. A melodious whistle came out. This Xiaosheng came towards the green-haired monster with an extremely strong killing intent. Jia Jia Jia, a girl who can blow a flute, interesting and interesting, it seems that this seat will catch you later, and I will let you help me with a blow job first, and then devour you. The green-haired monster saw this Bai Xiao fairy shot at herself and couldn't help but said grimly. Seeing that this wave of Xiaosheng is about to wrap up his own time, the green-haired monster punched out. Boom! With a loud bang came out. Fairy Bishao's flute of Xiao sound instantly disintegrated, and then turned into nothingness. Ah, why is the green-haired monster so strong? After seeing this scene, the disciples present were desperate again. Run! Many cultivators couldn't care about despair at this moment, and fled out one by one. At this moment, Fairy Bishao saw that her own attack had no effect on the green-haired monster at all, and she also showed a hint of helplessness at this moment. But Fairy Bishao wasn't too worried. Because Fairy Bishao came from Zishao Sacred Land, she has a lot of life-saving means on her body. If it doesn't work, she'll just use the escape talisman to escape. Jia Jia Jia, you can't escape. Seeing many disciples fleeing out, the green-haired monster laughed grimly. The green-haired monster is very confident at the moment. After devouring the blood essence of so many disciples just now, the green-haired monster felt that he had recovered. The green-haired monster felt that he only had to swallow all the disciples here. Then maybe he can return to his peak state. Once he recovers to the peak, then the world will not be left sideways for him. Beauty, wealth, and power are not all there. It's beautiful to think about. Right in this moment of crisis, two girls appeared here. These two girls are Long Lingshan and Xiao Sixuan, who have returned from the inheritance. Yeah, green-haired monster. Long Lingshan couldn't help screaming after seeing the monster in front of her. Junior sister, be careful, this monster is not easy. Xiao Sixuan couldn't help reminding Long Lingshan's expression of curiosity. Elder Mu, can you tell what kind of monster this is? Xiao Sixuan asked Mu Shui involuntarily. It should be an evil spirit, Mu Shui said involuntarily after glancing at the green-haired monster in front of her. Evil spirit, Xiao Sixuan said in surprise. Yes, the evil spirit is the remnant of the great devil in the ancient times. It is bloodthirsty. It is an existence that everyone gets and kills. It should not be wiped out completely, and then resurrected with a trace of soul breath. I think he should have taken the house, this should not be his body. Mu Shui explained. Then Mu Lao, can I use your cultivation base to kill him? Xiao Sixuan continued to ask. Xiao Sixuan felt at this moment that the situation was more critical. This evil spirit has recovered 7 to 88. I am in his prime, and I am no match for him. Mu Shui said bitterly. Junior sister Lingshan, junior sister Cezanne. At this moment, a crisp voice came. Senior sister, second senior brother, third senior brother. After seeing Cheng Zan, Li Chengqing, and Shi Rishan in front of them, Xiao Sixuan and Long Lingshan couldn't help but be overjoyed, and they all greeted them. It's great to finally find you guys. Cheng Zan couldn't help but say happily. At this moment, Fairy Bishao, who was about to escape, showed a hint of curiosity after seeing Xiao Sixuan and others. When Fairy Bishao accepted the inheritance, she was compared by Xiao Sixuan. This made Fairy Bishao very curious. These 5 disciples' cultivation base are obviously much weaker than her. However, Xiao Sixuan's accomplishments on the piano are very extraordinary. And these 5 disciples sounded like they were from the same faction. Fairy Bishao is really curious, who is the person behind these 5 disciples? To be able to teach such extraordinary 5 disciples. Jia Jia Jia, the breath of the 5 of you is actually the purest of the disciples who entered here. If you devour the blood essence of the 5 of you, then the culture base of this seat should be improved to a higher level. When Xiao Sixuan and others were talking, the green-haired monster at the moment also discovered Xiao Sixuan and others. Those bones turned out to be your masterpieces, Shi Rishan said coldly after seeing the tall green-haired monster in front of him. Subconsciously, he protected Cheng Zan and others behind him. In terms of cultivation base among the disciples, Shi Rishan is the highest among the 5 disciples. Jia Jia Jia, boy, you guessed it right. The green-haired monster smiled grimly. while the green-haired monster was laughing. But the laughter was creepy. Senior sister, junior brother, FK your mother. Shi Rishin couldn't help suggesting. Then try his strength first. I think the master already knows about the green-haired monster. Chang Zan nodded. Of course, who is the master? That is the immortal emperor. Li Chengqing also agreed. Chang's sword technique. Just do what they say. Chang Zan and the others did not hesitate at all. After Li Chengqing finished speaking, Chang Zan was the first to take action. The sword in his hand was instantly unsheathed. A sword cut out. The terrifying sword ray slashed towards the green-haired monster in front of him like a river. Her cultivation base is obviously only nascent soul realm 3rd stage, but the power of this sword is very extraordinary, and she has cultivated sword power, it's extraordinary. After Chang Zan shot, standing in the distance Fairy Bishao said in surprise. 9 cuts with 1 knife. After Chang Zan shot, Shi Rishin also shot. The sword in his hand suddenly fell. The dazzling light of the knife spread out like a training. After Shi Rishin shot, Li Chengqing also shot. Countless formation ripples washed out. Xiao Sixuan also played the guqin in his hand. The sound of the piano is pleasant to the ear. However, the killing intent contained was extremely strong. Dewei Tianlong, Maria Ozawa. After seeing several sisters and brothers take action, Long Lingshan slowly took out a few medicine pills from the storage space and threw them at the green-haired monster. This medicine pill is not for eating, but something Lu Chengde created based on what he learned in the previous life, something comparable to a grenade. Just shout, Dragon, Maria Ozawa, to explode. Once exploded, it will cause great damage to the enemy. As for Fairy Bishao, who witnessed this scene from a distance, she was shocked to the extreme at this moment. The 5 disciples in front of them seemed to have their own means. And each method is very extraordinary. Chang Zan's skills in sword technique are unique. Shi Rishin is perfect at saber technique. Li Chengqing is very accomplished in formation. Xiao Sixuan's accomplishments on the piano are not simple. Long Lingshan's achievements on alchemy are second to none. What kind of person can cultivate such extraordinary apprentices? Fairy Bishao was really full of curiosity. What are you still doing? Run away. Chang Zan shouted to all the stunned disciples after the shot. As everyone knows, just now Chang Zan and others shot. However, it was extremely shocking to the disciples present. After Chang Zan shouted like this, all the stunned disciples responded. Then they ran frantically towards the outside of the secret realm. At this moment, the green-haired monster was extremely angry. The monstrous black magic energy around him rolled out. Then the wave of swords, lights, swords, and piano sounds was resolved. At the same time, a punch shattered the formation arranged by Li Chengqing. But right now, several medicine pills were thrown in front of the green-haired monster. The green-haired monster couldn't help showing a curious look. Reach out and grab. That is, he grabbed a few medicine pills in his hands. Boom, boom. The green-haired monster just grabbed a few medicine pills that Long Lingshan had thrown over in his hands. But the next moment, these medicine pills are instant explosions. Then after all the energy dissipated, the green-haired monster at the moment looked extremely embarrassed. The green-haired monster had burned a lot of green hair all over its body. There was a smell of burning hair in the air, and the face of the green-haired monster turned black. Jia Jia Jia, I want you all to die. The green-haired monster roared. Then he chased after the fleeing disciple. Senior sister, what should I do? This green-haired monster is chasing after him. Do you want to inform Master? Shi Rishin couldn't help but frown. Let's escape first. Master probably already knew, so he should be waiting for us outside the secret realm at this moment. Chang Zan said involuntarily. Senior sister is right. Shi Rishin nodded, then frantically fled towards the outside of the secret realm. At this moment, the green-haired monster was yelling. Go on a frantic chase. The green-haired monster was blown up by the medicine pill just now, so the green-haired monster was extremely angry. As for Fairy Bishao, she never escaped alone, but joined the escape army. It's not that Fairy Bishao has no means. But Fairy Bishao was just too curious. This Chang Zan and others, who is the master who is talking about behind the scenes? Fairy Bishao really wanted to see it at this moment. Fairy Bishao wanted to see the master who could teach such an extraordinary apprentice. How amazing is it? However, Fairy Bishao still took the escape talisman in her hands. If this green-haired monster catches up, she will immediately use the escape talisman to escape from here. Outside the secret realm, now Lu Chang'e is here. I don't know what happened to the apprentices. Before entering the secret realm, I told them that if there is any big trouble, they will notify me immediately. No apprentice has contacted me so far, I think they should be safe. Lu Chang'e thought to himself. However, just when Lu Chang'e thought like this, suddenly, from the entrance of the secret realm, there was a sound of howling and howling. With this sound came out. The next moment, I saw a famous disciple emerge from the entrance of the secret realm. Lu Chang'e frowned, looked towards the entrance to the secret realm. At this moment, I saw that these disciples looked very embarrassed. Roll and climb one by one. His clothes were already soaked with sweat. Hey, what happened? Lu Chang'e couldn't help but wonder. Just when Lu Chang'e thought so, Chang Zan and others ran out from the entrance of the secret realm. However, when Lu Chang'e saw Chang Zan and others come out, he also seemed a bit embarrassed. Is there a big trouble in the secret realm? Seeing that all the disciples who ran out of the secret realm were like this, Lu Chang'e couldn't help thinking. When Lu Chang'e thinks like this, Chang Zan, Shi Rishan and others all discovered Lu Chang'e. After all, Lu Chang'e is so dazzling. Standing there, just like the sun and the moon. Although Lu Chang'e has changed his face at the moment, his appearance has changed a lot. But that temperament cannot be changed by Lu Chang'e. Master. After Chang Zan and others saw their master, they all ran over like the wind. Then came to Lu Chang'e's side. Disciples, what's the matter? Lu Chang'e asked, looking at the appearance of several apprentices. Master, there are monsters in the secret realm. Chang Zan couldn't help but gasped. Speaking of green-haired monsters, Chang Zan and the others are all in lingering fears now. Monster. Lu Chang'e couldn't help but become curious. Master, that should be an evil spirit, Xiao Sixuan said at this time. Regarding the fact that the green-haired monster is an evil spirit, Mu Shui had already told Xiao Sixuan just now. I see. Lu Chang'e nodded. If it was a monster, to be honest, Lu Chang'e had never heard of it. However, Lu Chang'e still knows something about evil spirits. Just when Lu Chang'e was talking to several apprentices. Now, from the entrance of the secret realm came a tall figure like a mountain. This figure was covered in blue veins, and the black aura lingered on his body. Whole body covered with green hair. It looks rather weird. But at the moment it seems. This green-haired monster has scorched fur in many places and looks very weird. After seeing the green-haired monster come out, some of the disciples who managed to escape were already frightened. One by one fell to the ground. Desperate to the extreme. One by one, they thought that today was going to end. However, the green-haired monster was not in a hurry to deal with the disciples who fell to the ground, but instead looked at Cheng Zan, Long Lingshan and others not far away. Because of these guys just now, he was slightly injured, and what was even more unacceptable to him was that the hair on his body was scorched by those dozen medicine pills. Jia, I want a few of you to die. The green-haired monster roared in a cold voice, then walked towards the place where Cheng Zan and others were. With each step, the entire ground collapsed and the ground shook. You can imagine how angry the green-haired monster is at the moment. Is he the master of these disciples? He looks so young, but there is no trace of breath on his body. He is ordinary. How did he teach such extraordinary disciples? When seeing Cheng Zan after waiting for Lu Chang'e by her side, Fairy Bishao felt very uneasy at the moment. Fairy Bishao originally thought that the master of Cheng Zan and others was still an old monster. It turned out that the master of Cheng Zan and others was so young. The scent is so extraordinary. Fairy Bishao felt that the masters of Cheng Zan and others seemed to be about the same age as her. At this moment, Fairy Bishao couldn't figure it out. When Fairy Bishao thought like this, the green-haired monster had already arrived not far from Cheng Zan and the others. Jia, I want you guys to live rather than die. The green-haired monster said in a gloomy tone. You want to move my disciple, have you asked me? Lu Chang'e said lightly when he heard the green-haired monster's words. Who are you? The green-haired monster looked at Lu Chang'e, who had an indifferent expression, and said. The green-haired monster was a little confused at the moment. The young man in white in front of him was unremarkable. Apart from his extraordinary temperament, he really couldn't see anything special about him. Where did this guy come from to have the courage to speak to him like this? Does it matter who I am? You just need to know that you are going to die today. Lu Chang'e said indifferently. With Lu Chang'e's words falling, Lu Chang'e raised his icy eyes sharply. He looked at the green-haired monster in front of him. Seeing this by Lu Chang'e, the green-haired monster couldn't help but shudder. Lu Chang'e's eyes seemed to reflect the sun, moon and stars. Let him not see through the depths of Lu Chang'e. This made the green-haired monster very unhappy. A guy who didn't show the slightest breath, actually talked to him like this. This seriously touched the bottom line of the green-haired monster. Jia Jia Jia, this seat wants you to die. The green-haired monster roared. The next moment, the green-haired monster is on the move. The monstrous magic rolled around, turned into countless ghosts, and then madly came towards Lu Chang'e. After seeing the green-haired monster take action, Fairy Bishao was curious on the one hand. On the other hand, I was worried. After all, Lu Chang'e gave her the feeling that there was no cultivation base. That must not be the opponent of this green-haired monster. But for Chang Zan and others who knew their master, they didn't have the slightest worry. In the hearts of Chang Zan and others, there is nothing in this world that their master is afraid of. The green-haired monster did just that. It can only be said that it is naked courting death. Teacher, use your sword, Lu Chang'e said to Chang Zan. Master then. Chang Zan threw her own sword over. Lu Chang'e took the sword. Chong, the sword is unsheathed in his hand. Teacher, look at it, this sword for the teacher is called killing monsters. Lu Chang'e said arrogantly. With Lu Chang'e's words falling, the sword in Lu Chang'e's hand was cut out. Lu Chang'e's sword looks plain and simple, without any complicated moves. It's just a light-hearted sword. But when the sword of Lu Chang'e was cut out, the whole world went dark. A storm formed by sword chi swept the world, then rolled down towards the green-haired monster. Do not. Feeling the horror of this sword, the green-haired monster let out a miserable howl. The figure quickly retreated. At this moment, the green-haired monster felt a huge threat to its life. The green-haired monster really couldn't understand why this young man in white, who didn't have the slightest breath and looked ordinary, was so terrifying with his sword. However, the green-haired monster was simply not allowed to think too much. This sword of Lu Chang'e pierced the sky and ripped apart the sky. The next moment, it is to directly wrap the green-haired monster. Puff! The green-haired monster had no resistance at all in the face of this hot, sturdy sword chi. Moment. The entire body was pierced by sword chi. Then, the entire body turned into a cloud of blood in the void. Then it blooms in the void like fireworks. Quiet. The whole space is extremely quiet. The disciples present opened their eyes one by one. Can't believe it's true. The green-haired monster is so scary. But he didn't even take the sword of the young man in white. Who is this young man in white? How is it so scary? Teacher, go, Lu Chang'e said lightly when the disciples were in shock. Yes, master. Chang Zan and the others nodded. Next, Lu Chang'e used the shrinking the earth to become an inch, and disappeared in place with his 5 apprentices in an instant. Hey, human. Originally, many disciples were in shock and didn't react at all. But when I reacted, I found that Lu Chang'e and others were gone. This senior in white is probably the reincarnation of an immortal, too strong. Yeah, I really can't think of such a terrifying person in the world, but I don't know which force he is from. It seems that he claims to be the Sky Bombing Gang, the specifics are not clear. Many disciples could not help but talk about the Tao. It seems that I underestimate Senior. Senior's accomplishments in sword technique are so terrifying, and one of his apprentices is better than me in piano. I'm stuck at the peak of nascent soul realm 9th stage for a long time and can't break through. If I can get the senior's guidance, once I break through to gold core realm, then am I not qualified to compete for Holy Maiden? A bold idea suddenly appeared in Fairy Bishao's heart. That is to find Lu Chang'e, and then let Lu Chang'e give her a blowjob, then she is going to take off. It's decided like this. I'm going to go to the senior. The senior's movement technique is too terrifying. I can only use the tracking talisman that the master gave me. Fairy Bishao couldn't help thinking. Then he took out a stack of tracking talismans and started chasing in the direction where Lu Chang'e and the 5 apprentices disappeared. When Fairy Bishao went in the direction where Lu Chang'e and others disappeared. Now, Lu Chang'e and others have already come to Xiaoyao sect. However, as soon as he entered the courtyard, the sound of the system rang. Ding, I have detected bad books on the host's apprentice Cheng Zan. Please ask the host to hand them over and destroy them, otherwise there will be endless trouble. The system said to Lu Chang'e. Huh, bad books. Lu Chang'e couldn't help frowning. Then he looked at Cheng Zan. Seen by Lu Chang'e. Cheng Zan couldn't help lowering her head shyly, thinking that master looked at her like this. Shouldn't his master be interested in her? If master wants to treat her, then she must be willing to do so. Big disciple, hand over the book. Lu Chang'e said to Cheng Zan. Book, Shizan, what kind of book? Cheng Zan thought that his Shizan was going to do something. The result is a book. At this moment, Cheng Zan had a bad feeling. Could it be that Shizan found out about the books on her body? But she hadn't read the book yet. Not Cheng Zan knew that those books were absolutely beautiful. Because the title of the book looks terrific. Hand over all the books you got from the secret realm, or you'll be angry with the teacher. Lu Chang'e said solemnly. Lu Chang'e naturally knows the importance. Since it is a bad book recognized by the system, it is definitely not a good book. Master, okay, Cheng Zan said reluctantly. Cheng Zan originally thought about reading those books well then. But he never thought that everything could not escape the master's control. So he was very obedient and took out all the books he took out from the secret realm. When Lu Chang'e took over these books, he saw that the titles of these books were called, The Story of the Golden Vase, Liao Jai Fengyu, White Jade Futon, Don't Want Officials, Tonight I'm Your Man, Senior Brother, Pry Open My Door in the Middle of the Night, etc. Lu Chang'e can naturally see that these books are not good books. Especially the illustration of a pair of men and women on the cover looks very explosive. Disciples, you are still young, and you are not allowed to read these books in the future. Since this is the first time you have made a mistake, I will forgive you today as a teacher. If you dare to make mistakes again, you will be expelled from the Xiaoyao sect. Lu Chang'e said solemnly. Lu Chang'e clearly remembers that in his previous life, he was very good at learning, but he was curious about some knowledge about men and women for a while. So I watched a lot of big movies about the island being very hot. Then there are some strange images in my mind, and I can't help but want to do handicrafts even in class. As a result, results plummeted. Therefore, this kind of book has a particularly great impact on people. Of course, this effect is not good. After Lu Chang'e finished speaking, he directly destroyed the books in his hands. To be honest, Lu Chang'e is also very heartbroken, and Lu Chang'e really wants to see it. But Lu Chang'e is now a sect master. Can't do that. Master, we were wrong. Cheng Zan couldn't help lowering her head. If you know your mistakes, you will improve a lot. This time everyone entered the secret realm, and they all performed well and got a good inheritance, so everyone can relax this afternoon. Let's drink tea and chat, and let the teacher play the piano for everyone. Lu Chang'e said. Wow, that's great. Cheng Zan and others were happy to hear that master wanted to play the piano for them. Then the 5 apprentices sat next to Lu Chang'e. Lu Chang'e took out Lu Qi. Began to play. As Lu Chang'e's fingers traveled over the strings, a melodious and beautiful sound came out. Cheng Zan, Shi Rishan and others were all fascinated. Everyone was immersed in the sound of the piano. The sound of the piano is very beneficial to their soul and state of mind. At the same time, a beautiful shadow landed under the gate of Xiaoyaozong Mountain. This figure is naturally Fairy Bishao. When Fairy Bishao landed here, she saw the characters of Xiaoyao sect in front of her. Fairy Bishao's face was full of shock. Xiaoyao sect, how is this possible? Hasn't Xiaoyao sect been removed from the list? Fairy Bishao said in disbelief. Just when Fairy Bishao thought like this, from the place where Xiaoyaozong Mountain is located, a melodious sound of the piano came. The sound of the violin sounded like a clear spring flowing in a mountain stream. The sound of the piano is full of gentle power, but it also carries a chilling sound. The senior's accomplishments in the piano are so extraordinary, no wonder he can teach such extraordinary apprentices. After hearing the sound of the piano, at this moment, Fairy Xiao said with a storm in her heart. Even Fairy Bishao was a little excited at the moment. If she can get the guidance of the senior, wouldn't it be? Fairy Bishao thought like this. On the one hand, he walked towards the interior of Xiaoyao sect. But the next moment, Fairy Bishao showed a shocking look in her beautiful eyes again. This is a formation, and this formation feels more mysterious than my Zishao Sacred Land's formation. Fairy Bishao said in a trembling voice after seeing the formation in front of her. Fairy Bishao really couldn't think of the place where the Xiaoyao sect, who had been removed from the name, was located. There is such an extraordinary existence. This made it hard for Fairy Bishao not to be shocked. Senior, Lu Zian, a disciple of Zishao Sacred Land, came to visit. Fairy Bishao said. Someone, hearing Fairy Bishao's shout, Lu Chengge stopped playing the piano and looked outside the formation. At this moment, I saw a beautiful figure standing outside the Xiaoyao sect formation. This girl has a perfect figure. The front is convex and the back is warped, and the temperament is extraordinary. Wink-like waves. In his hand is a 20 centimeters long flute. She showed off her flawless body in a purple dress. Perhaps it was because of cultivation that all the women in this world had whiter and tenderer skin than the women Lu Chengge had seen in the previous life. The smell is better. It feels more attractive. Who is she? Lu Chengge couldn't help asking the disciples around him. Lu Chengge is a person who is very afraid of getting into trouble. So if it wasn't for special circumstances, Lu Chengge would not want to provoke other immortal practitioners. It's not good if you get into trouble. As long as several of his apprentices are here to cultivate diligently and grow up happily, Lu Chengge will be content. The world has nothing to do with him. Master, she seems to be the arrogant disciple of Zishao Sacred Land. What is she called? Fairy Bishao. She had a relationship with her when she was in the secret realm. Xiao Sixuan glanced outside the formation. When she saw that it was Lu Zian, Xiao Sixuan said involuntarily. Xiao Sixuan is naturally familiar with Fairy Bishao. After all, at that time, she defeated the Bishao fairy with a melody taught to her by her master, and finally got the inheritance of Kengyuan's secret realm. Zishao Sacred Land. Lu Chengge was a little curious. After all, Lu Chengge is not familiar with some divisions of forces in the Eastern Wasteland domain. Master, this Zishao Sacred Land is one of the 9 sacred lands in the Eastern Wasteland domain, and Zishao Sacred Land is a sacred land that accepts female apprentices. The disciple once fantasized about being able to join this Zishao Sacred Land. But now that the disciple has a master, the disciple thinks that even if the 9 great sacred land wants me now, the disciple will not go. Xiao Sixuan joked. A disciple of one of the 9 sacred lands. I don't know why she came to our Xiaoyao sect. Let her come in. Lu Chengge couldn't help thinking. Then the arm waved lightly. Suddenly, a channel appeared in the formation. At the same time, Lu Chengge's manly voice rang out, "Come in." Thank you, senior. Seeing a huge passage in that terrifying formation, Lu Zian's heart had already been replaced by awe and worship at this moment. Lu Zian comes from one of the 9 sacred lands, so she is naturally well informed. Therefore, after seeing the scene in front of her, Lu Zian can be sure. In this disfigured Xiaoyao sect, which has fallen, there is a peerless existence in charge. Not long, Lu Zian came to the courtyard. Then Lu Zian looked at the place where Lu Chengge and others were sitting. At this moment, Lu Chengge and others are sitting under a thick locust tree. Lu Chengge was dressed in white as snow. The breath of holiness lingered on him. Unparalleled temperament. A pair of eyes, like the reflection of the sun and moon stars. Obviously, Lu Chengge did not release the slightest breath, but it gave Lu Zian a feeling of being one with heaven and earth. Hiss, isn't this senior too handsome? There are still such good-looking people in this world. The moment she saw Lu Chengge, Lu Zian felt that she was about to lose her way. As Zishao Sacred Land's favorite, Lu Zian's vision is naturally incomparably high. But this time, Lu Zian felt a wet urge. Because the Lu Chengge in front of him is really extraordinary. At this moment, Lu Zian knew that Lu Chengge should have changed his face when he was in the secret realm of Kang Yuan. So it didn't look that handsome at the time. But now, Lu Zian felt that it was her who had always been calm in her heart. For the first time, she felt a sense of sprouting in her heart. Lu Qi, one of the 10 great immortals of Xingyuan continent. Lu Ziyan was even more shocked when she saw the Guqin in front of Lu Chang'e. According to Lu Ziyan's understanding, this Lu Qi has long since disappeared into the long river of history, leaving only a beautiful legend. Lu Ziyan did not expect to see the legendary Lu Qi here. At this moment, Lu Ziyan felt turbulent in her heart. The heart was completely replaced by shock. Lu Ziyan, a disciple of Zishao Sacred Land, has met Senior. Lu Ziyan saluted respectfully. What's the matter with you coming here? Lu Chang'e asked straight to the point. To be honest with the senior, Ziyan came out this time to find the opportunity to break through the gold core, but she didn't expect that in the Kang Yuan secret realm, she was seized by the senior's apprentice. This time, it was Ziyan who came here. Ask senior to give me some advice on the maze of blowjobs. Lu Ziyan said. Lu Ziyan was very sincere. Lu Ziyan didn't have any inferiority complex at the moment. Lu Ziyan felt that she was not ashamed of losing to Lu Senior's apprentice in front of her. Because at this moment Lu Ziyan dared to guarantee that the senior in front of him should be a legendary existence. That's it, please sit down first, and let me play a song for everyone first. Lu Chang'e said. After listening to Lu Ziyan's words, Lu Chang'e couldn't help but feel a lot more at ease. Qin Shao rationale. Since the other party wants to discuss the way of rhythm with him, it is not difficult for Lu Chang'e. And this Lu Ziyan is from one of the 9 sacred lands, so naturally if you can have a good relationship, you can have a good relationship. One more friend is better than one more enemy. Then Ziyan will be ugly. Lu Ziyan nodded. Then he picked up the flute in his hand and started to blow. Have to say, Lu Ziyan also has her own unique attainments in rhythm. The sound of the flute is beautiful. On the contrary, Cheng Zan and others present were amazed. Bu Chengxuan and others felt that Lu Ziyan's flute sound was compared with that of his master. But it was 108,000 miles away. Lu Chang'e is also quietly admiring. Lu Chang'e had to sigh. The beauty who can blowjob is even more beautiful. This technology is absolutely in place. If anyone is lucky enough to marry this woman in the future, they will definitely be very happy. Soon, Lu Ziyan finished blowing a flute. Senior, Ziyan is done, ask for senior's guidance. Lu Ziyan said respectfully to Lu Chang'e. Very good, your flute skills are very extraordinary, but from your flute, I heard some very anxious voices. Cultivation is a protracted battle, and it cannot be rushed. The more anxious you are, the more it will backfire. I hope that when you study in the future, you can relax more and let everything take its course. Next, I will play a song, Phoenix Chaohuang, for you. How much epiphany you can realize depends on your own good fortune. Lu Chang'e said. Feng Chaohuang. Lu Ziyan was shocked again when she heard Lu Chang'e's words. Because Feng Chaohuang is an immemorial sound. It's a legendary song, already lost. At this moment, Lu Chang'e is actually going to play a phoenix song. At this moment, Lu Ziyan was shocked and didn't know what to say. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.